January 19, 2007. Murder on the streets of Istanbul. The victim's name was Hrant Dink.
He was an editor for an Armenian weekly in Istanbul, and he was such an advocate for Armenian cultural heritage in a very cold place, which Istanbul, all of Turkey, can be for an Armenian, that he found himself in peril.
Dink was a well-known dissident gunned down because he openly discussed the genocide of the Armenians in 1915, atrocities officially denied in Turkey. Dink also believed Turkey's minorities should have greater civil rights. Turkey, he believed, should be for all its citizens.
Թուրքիա պետք է այդ ոճը գտնա ժողովրդավարական գեցվածքը գտնա ու այդ ժողովրդավարական գեցվածքով այս հարցերը լուծում գտնե առանց երկիրը բաժան լինելու եւ միասնականության մեջ միասին ապրելով ինչպես կարելի ամեն մարդ իր ազատության մեջ իր ինքնությունը ապրի բայց նույնադեն միասնապարալ գարենան
Dink's recognition of the Armenian genocide made him a target of the state. He was prosecuted for insulting Turkishness, a charge carrying a 3-year prison sentence.
The newspapers, day after day, talked about his being anti-Turkish and needs to be removed. And the talk radios over there talked in terms of the hatred, he should be taken out, he should be removed from society. And that's what really turned the rabble into going after Hrant Dink, is the hatred that they spewed towards him. And it put a target on him.
Հետո email-ներով, հեռացայիններով միշտարիկա գնեն։ Անշուշտ ես ալ բնական մարդը ինչպես փողոցի մեջ ազատ գաբրի, այդքան անոնց շապ ազատ չեմ վարվիր, քիչմը Oskushanalov açız çaxız kiçmə nayelov qabı.
Dink thought he could avoid the danger, but on January 19, 2007, his luck ran out.
He had gone to work in the day, and he had his newspaper was out. He had a midday conference with his other reporters and editors, figuring out what they're going to be covering the next week. He was talking to his best friend, Etienne Masupian, and laughing and joking because he was talking to his best friend. How wonderful that must have been. What he didn't know about what had happened, at noontime, the man who was the assassin, Samast, came into his office and asked for him. He wanted to speak to Hrant Dink. And he was told, no, you have to have an appointment. So he left. Hrant left around 2:30 to do some banking. I was told by a bank official, they have the videotape, that you see him leaving the bank from one videotape. And you see him taking a right, going back now probably about 30 or 40 yards, to his office, his office door. And he passes the videotape machine of the ATM machine. A man is operating the ATM machine, and the man's head jerked suddenly to the left. And it was at that moment he was jerking his head to the left because Hrant had just been shot 2 or 3 times in the head, neck and head, and Hrant had fallen. And that's where he died. He died instantly.
The spot where Hrant Dink was shot dead on Friday has become a shrine. The 52-year-old was killed by 3 bullets meters from the offices of the Agos newspaper, where he was editor. A 17-year-old Turk, Ogun Samast, has been arrested, along with 6 others. Prosecutors in the country say the young man has confessed to the killing.
17-year-old Ogun Samast has confessed to
Samast's murder trial now centers around whether or not he acted alone. 2 other conspirators have been accused, but critics say a bigger group could be involved, tied to extreme nationalist groups, the security services, and possibly to Turkey's military. Dink was gunned down just outside his office, right next to a jewelry store and his bank. Each business has a surveillance camera which records the movements of anyone passing by. The camera images are stored onto hard drives. These hard drives are now key pieces of evidence in the trial because they could show the movements of Dink's murderer and anyone else who may have helped him before and on the day of the murder.
Hello, TechFusion, their emergency, can I help you?
The hard drive it was running really slow.
Alfred Demirjan runs TechFusion, one of the top data recovery companies in the United States, the place businesses and even governments go when their computer hard drives have crashed.
And the data's really important. I need it fast. Can you tell me how this works?
We don't stop until the data is recovered. Around the clock, 24 hours. There'll be two people.
Data recovery is now crucial in the Dink trial. The hard drives of the surveillance cameras at the murder scene, showing who exactly was there, had been recorded over. Representatives of Hrant Dink asked TechFusion to see if they could recover the images.
We got the drive and we noticed it was tampered with. There was data we could not go through with the softwares that we've developed over 20 years. So we knew immediately this is something new way of destroying data. It was a very professional job done by an expert. Now I want to show you a real damaged disk, which is a special recovery. You see the plates are bent here. This is done on purpose.
Someone tried to destroy this disk with pliers.
But this will take anywhere from 9 months to 2 years to recover this information.
TechFusion has a reputation for doing the impossible.
When I was working at General Dynamics,
Jason Cornwell is a data specialist who's been contracted by the U.S. government.
and there were several occasions where we had data that was stored for the U.S. Army and U.S. Navy, where we were concerned about potential of data loss. Alfred is actually able to recover encrypted data. Alfred and his team were able to come through for us many times.
We were looking at things in the atmosphere that were suspected to be involved with ozone destruction.
This engineer does work for NASA, measuring the amount of ozone in our environment.
We used to put instruments aboard high-altitude balloons to look at the concentration of some of the chemical constituents as a function of altitude. On one of these flights, we had a crash on landing, and the hard disk that collected the data had a major problem. So we gave Alfred a call, and he was able to recover the data. And our mission was not lost.
But what about a hard drive which has been professionally erased, like the Dink drive? Can TechFusion save that?
We get a lot of different data recoveries, but Hrant Dink's case was very special. This is a sample from the hard drive that we have. The pictures are going to be recovered with parts missing on it. But because it's a video, putting a number of pictures together, you get one full picture. This section is corrupted. The squares here are not recoverable. But most likely on the next picture will be similar to this picture, but the dots will be somewhere else. To have these dots on someone's face on one picture, on the second picture, it doesn't necessarily mean these dots are going to be on the same spot. So you can make sense of the pictures.
TechFusion can guarantee recovery of 2,100 camera files from the surveillance camera hard drive that can be used in court as evidence. They can also prove that the exact dates the drives were tampered with coincide with the days the police had the drives in their possession.
It's so important that all the surveillance tapes, all the video data get reviewed and inspected as minutely as possible. Who was coming and going in the moments, the minutes, and the hours before? Was there anybody else? Where had Samas gone when he left Hrant's office at noon? Was Samas alone at the scene? Maybe there was somebody who was with him. And if there was somebody who was with him, then that deepens the conspiracy. And that also casts doubt about the credibility of the Turkish investigation. Well, the proof is in the pudding, the proof is in the surveillance tapes, and those are the surveillance tape that Alfred Demirjan is so minutely inspecting.
Around the world, Dink's murder was condemned as a hate crime, a direct attack on anyone brave enough to recognize the Armenian genocide in Turkey. Since his murder, His son has become a new target of right-wing groups. Other writers and journalists are also being threatened. That's why this trial is about something bigger. Justice, not only for Dink, but for all those fighting for the truth in Turkey. Will there be a fair trial? Will the evidence of Dink's murder be fully revealed? Or will there be cover-up and repression?
Hrant Dink was the best and the brightest of the Armenian community worldwide. And he was taken from us. And he was taken from us advocating for our rights. Whatever it takes, the Armenian people owe it to that man's family to say, but we'll try to get to the bottom of things, to find out how deep is this conspiracy. And that's why Alfred's work, I think, is part of that, is so important to support.
TechFusion has invested its own funds in the data recovery so far. But to complete the recovery, it needs much more.
What is important here is, did we do everything possible to get to the bottom of this case? Was there a small chance there was something on this hard drive that's going to change the case or not? We will never know that if we don't go through this.
The whole world is watching Turkey, and it keeps the pressure on them to do a thorough investigation. And if there was other assassins of other conspirators at the scene, then the government has got to follow that lead.